Sa ngayon po ay napaka-importanteng kaganapan ang nangyayari sa Senado kung saan nagkakaroon na ng nominasyon para sa Senate President. Kano-nominate lamang po ni Senator Angara para sa bagong Senate President na si Senator Drilon. Natin ang nangyayari ngayon sa Senado.
Mr. President, Senators, mga kababayan, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I nominate Senator Franklin M. Drilon for Senate President of the 16th Congress of the Republic. Considering the responsibilities of the Senate President, Senator Drilon is qualified. He's a spirited leader with a proven ability to build consensus in the upper chamber. I remember his time as Senate President from 2005 to 2006 in particular. It was a period of political turmoil. The Senate, under his leadership, was one of the country's last bastions of reason. The Senate saw issues such as the fertilizer fund scam and the North Rail project irregularities. That same Senate body took a stand against EO 464 and Proclamation 1017. Despite the political pressure to halt the hearings, the Senate held its ground and stayed the course. Under Senator Drilon's leadership, we can protect the integrity of this institution and prioritize the welfare of the citizens to whom we are all accountable. Kalakip po ng nominasyong ito ay ang dalangin at nasanay sa Senadong ito, mailimbag natin ang mga panukalang makakatulong sa pag-ahon sa ating mga kababayan sa kahirapan, ang maibsan ang gutom na nararanasan ng malaking bahagi ng pamilyang Pilipino, ang makapagbigay ng trabaho at patas na oportunidad sa lahat, mga batas na maayos at makatarungan at magpapabuti ng buhay. Salamat po.
Thank you, Senator Po. Are there any other nominations, Majority Leader?
Mr. President, for the other nominations, I move that Senator Nancy Binay be recognized.
Senator Bina is recognized.
Mr. President, fellow senators, I am very honored to nominate Senator Juan Ponce Enrile for Senate President. Today, we begin a new chapter in the history of the Philippine Senate. Throughout history and the changing tides of politics, the Senate has remained a bastion of independence, beholden neither to one person, political ideology, or political party. The people expect no less from this Senate. The first order of business is the election of a worthy leader. We may nominate candidates individually, but we choose a Senate President collectively. I am certain that we all have one purpose, to choose a Senate President who can lead with integrity, clarity of vision, and independence. That person is none other than Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Allow me to briefly highlight the major accomplishments of the Senate under his leadership. Backed by the support and trust of his peers in the chamber, Senator Enrile became the Senate President on November 17, 2008. Under his leadership, the Senate passed vital pieces of legislation such as the Anti-Torture Act, Expanded Senior Citizens Act, Anti-Child Pornography Act, National Heritage Conservation Act, Real Estate Investment Act, among many others. Institutional reforms were also implemented within the Senate to improve the daily conduct of business by the institution, as well as improve the welfare of its officers and employees. Upon the opening of the 18th Congress on July 26, 2010, Senator Enrile was re-elected unanimously by his peers to the Senate presidency. Faithful to his promise to discharge his duties and responsibilities with honor, with total devotion to the Philippine Senate, and with fairness to all members, Senator Enrile, without fear or favor, boldly took on the role of presiding officer of the Senate, sitting as an impeachment court to try and decide on the impeachment of Supreme Court Chief Justice Renato C. Corona. Mr. President, the challenges that we face demand from the Senate the same independence that has earned the respect and support of the Filipino people. Our choice for Senate President must be a testament to our independence as an institution. I therefore respectfully nominate Senator Juan Ponce Enrile as Senate President. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Senator Binay. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, there are no other nominations. I therefore move that we close the period of nomination.
Majority Leader, I think Senator Ejercito.
Mr. President, I move that Senator Estrada be recognized.
Senator Ejercito
Estrada
is recognized.
Mr. President, good morning to everybody. This humble representation would like to second the nomination of Juan Ponce Enrile to again lead this August chamber.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, there are no other nominations. I therefore move that we close the period of nomination and proceed to vote for the position of President of the Senate.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. We shall now proceed to vote. Secretary?
Nominal voting. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Compañera Pia, Drilon, Ejercito, Enrile.
Who are you voting as Senator?
I cast my vote in favor of Senator Dillon.
Escudero, Gingona, Honasan, Lapid, Ligarda, Marcos, Osmeña, Pimentel, Poe, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, the acting Senate President.
Enrile. There are 17 votes in favor of Senator Franklin Drilon and 6 votes in favor of Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Senator Franklin M. Drilon is elected President of the Senate.
Congratulations po sa bagong Senate President, Senator Franklin Drilon. Curiously po mga kababayan, ang botohang ito ay nakatutuwang tignan dahil kitang-kita po natin ang cooperation sa loob ng Senado. Ito ay sa aking palagay, yung aking na-witness na ngayon ay walang oposisyon, walang administrasyon, bagkus ang kanilang ginagawa ay ang pagboto sa susunod na liderato ng ayon talaga sa kanilang konsensya.
As well as the youngest member of the Senate, Senator Bam Aquino, to administer the oath of office to the Senate President.
At matutunghayan po natin ang pag-take oath ng ating bagong Senate President Franklin Drilon sa harap naman ng pinakabatang miyembro ng Senado, Senator Bam
the
Aquino.
members of the Senate and our guests stand.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name,
Franklin M. Drilon,
having been elected to the position of Senate President,
having been elected to the position of Senate President,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
the duties of my present position
the duties of my present position
and of all others
and of all
I
others
may hereafter hold
I may hereafter hold
under the Republic of the Philippines.
under the Republic of the Philippines.
That I will support and defend
That I will support and defend
the Constitution of the Philippines.
the Constitution of the Philippines.
That I will obey the laws
That I will obey the laws
and legal orders
and legal orders
and decrees
and decrees
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities
promulgated by the duly constituted
and
authorities
maintain true faith
and maintain true faith
and allegiance
and
to
allegiance
the Republic of the
to
Philippines.
the Republic of the Philippines.
And that I impose this obligation
And that I impose this obligation
upon myself voluntarily
upon myself voluntarily
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you very much.
At yan po mga kababayan, may bago na tayong Senate President. Ngayon naman po'y dumako tayo sa mababang kapulungan upang malaman kung sino-sino ang mga ninonomina nila bilang Speaker of the House.
The partner of the administration in achieving these milestones and in creating the policy foundations that now spur the momentum for economic growth. The 15th Congress passed historic legislation that has set this country on the daang matuwid. Sin tax reform and the Reproductive Health Act are two historic laws that have been enacted by the 15th Congress. The 15th Congress has passed many other game-changing legislations. Last Congress, the House of Representatives was front and center in the historic fight for our judiciary and our ombudsman. This chamber has delivered when called upon by the President and by the Filipino people to do so. But many challenges remains for this 16th Congress. Still, too many of our countrymen have limited access to the opportunities that a good education and basic health care can provide. Still, too many live in fear of violence or crime. And still, too many have to leave their family to work abroad because the jobs that they are looking for do not yet exist here. Later this year, we will be asked to deliberate and pass judgment on a proposed organic act that may once and for all silence the guns of Muslim separatism in our nation. Honorable Presiding Officer and my dear colleagues, there is much to be done in the 16th Congress. We need well-crafted and significant legislation to address these challenges facing our country. I have no doubt that the 16th Congress can meet these challenges and contribute to our nation's progress. But to do so, we need determined and wise leadership. We need a Speaker in the House of Representatives who is dynamic enough to face the exigencies of the time, to lead by example, to sacrifice. We need a Speaker who is not afraid to ask questions and to say no when necessary. We need a Speaker who is proven to be capable of uniting the varied interests and advocacies of the people as represented by the members of this august body to produce purposeful legislation essential for the welfare and aspirations of the ordinary Filipino. We need a Speaker who is familiar with the workings of local governments, since most social services have been devolved already. We need someone who knows what it feels to work in the grassroots, how to strengthen the frontliners of public service. We need the wise and fair leadership that made the 15th Congress so significant in order to propel this 16th Congress to the same historic heights. Thus, Honorable Presiding Officer, my distinguished colleagues, it is my distinct honor and privilege to nominate Honorable Feliciano Sani Belmonte of the 4th District of Quezon City as Speaker of the House of Representatives of the 16th Congress. So moved.
I move that the distinguished gentleman from the 1st District of Tarlac, the Honorable Enrique Cojuangco, be recognized to second the nomination.
The distinguished gentleman from the 1st District of Tarlac, the Honorable Enrique M. Cojuangco, is recognized.
He is a friend, a respected colleague, an experienced and battle-tested leader, and most of all, a unifying force to a House usually divided by opinions. Madam Presiding Officer and members of this esteemed and respected institution, it is with optimism and faith for the great work we can accomplish together for our beloved country that I second the nomination of Honorable Feliciano Sani Belmonte as Speaker of the House of Representatives of this 16th Congress.
I move that the gentleman from the of Camarines Sur, the Honorable Rolando G. Andaya Jr., be recognized to second the nomination.
The distinguished gentleman from the 1st District of Camarines Sur, the Honorable Rolando G. Andaya Jr. is recognized.
Madam Presiding Officer, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in nominating the gentleman from Quezon City, I would rather not dwell on his curriculum vitae. It is already of public knowledge that he is a turnaround specialist with a knack for rehabilitating firms in dire straits, whether a city government or a heritage hotel, the national airline, or the pension fund. As how he was able to do it, I would not repeat the urban legend about his management style, as rumors that the S in SB stands for stingy, or strict, or stern are still unconfirmed. I would rather highlight his recent feat as the architect of the successful makeover of the House, not in appearance, but in performance. And performance is better appreciated if presented not with frills, but with facts. And with the scorecard showing that during his watch, 1,033 bills were passed and 447 laws enacted, which means that on the average, one approved bill rolled out of this hall every 24 hours and one signed law left the President's desk every 48 hours. And many of those were not run-of-the-mill types, but brave, like the RH law, bold, like the one on sin taxes, and beneficial, like the K-12 law. Yes, not all of us agree with those measures, but we agree on one thing. It takes a leader with guts and grit to push for bills, as well as a fair leader to encourage a free and full debate on those. My friends, we are all casual employees here with a probationary term of 1,000 days, subject to renewal by our employers. Some of us may be rehired, some of us might be fired, but it is up to our employers to make that decision. But it is up to us to choose a leader who will bring the best in us in the next 1,000 days and thereby boost our chances of being rehired instead of being retired. And that man is Feliciano Belmonte. So let me close my nomination with the profoundest and most philosophical phrase I can think of. SB, ikaw na. I second the nomination.
I move that the lady from party list Ambis Owa, the Honorable Sharon S. Garin, be recognized to second the nomination.
The distinguished lady from party list Aambis Owa, the Honorable Sharon S. Garin, is recognized.
Thank you. Madam Presiding Officer, distinguished colleagues, Mayong aga sa inyong tanan. I rise this morning as representative of Ambisua Party List. The nomination of Honorable Feliciano Belmonte Jr. as Speaker of the House of Representatives. During the 15th Congress, Honorable Belmonte, as Speaker of the House, was symbolically and fundamentally the leader of the then 281 members of Congress. I second the nomination because notwithstanding differences in advocacies among members, the leader of the House had the fortitude to steer Congress to pass landmark laws, as mentioned before, on restructuring the excise tax on tobacco and alcohol, reparation and recognition of the victims of human rights violations, and many other measures passed during the 15th Congress. Notwithstanding moral, personal, and political forces, the leader of the House had the political will to conclude a 14-year-old debate, which 4 previous Congresses have failed to attain, namely the National Policy on Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Bill. Notwithstanding amplified influence and astuteness of public opinion, the House had the executive aptitude to mandate elevated quantity of presence and quality of participation from the members of Congress, stemming from which is the highest public trust rating for 3 consecutive years any other Philippine Congress has ever received in recent history. And finally, notwithstanding the enticements of power and prominence, the leader of the House stayed true to his creed and the creed of our present President as the Speaker and as a true Filipino by leading his flock as congressmen towards the righteous path or the matuwid na daan. Indeed, the gentleman from the 4th District of Quezon City brings the concept of leadership to a distinctive level. He is a leader that brings cohesiveness amidst conflict, that finds optimal combination and use of the diverse faculties among the members of Congress. And he is also a conduit of the righteous standards set by our bosses, the Filipino people. Hence, I am the nomination of the Honorable Belmonte because I wish for the continuation of the performance of this august body as it did in the 15th Congress. Rather, we do not need a change of leadership today. We need to resume, improve, and expand the same path instigated by the leader of the 15th Congress. Therefore, Madam's presiding officer, in this 16th Congress, I take pride to second the nomination of the gentleman from the 4th District of Quezon City, the Honorable Feliciano Belmonte Jr. as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Madamo gid nga salamat sa inyong tanan.
I move that the lady from the 2nd District of Makati City, the Honorable Marlene Abigail Binay, be recognized to second the nomination.
The distinguished lady from the 2nd District of Makati City, the Honorable Marlene Abigail S. Binay, is recognized.
Madam Presiding Officer, ladies and gentlemen of this august chamber, distinguished guests, I am privileged to stand before you today on the nomination of the distinguished gentleman from the 4th District of Quezon City, Honorable Feliciano Belmonte Jr. to the speakership. A leader elected by his peers is truly a high accolade in any institution. Yes, the role of the speaker is enlaced with great honor, but at the same time, it is laden with great responsibility. And so today, as we enter into the first regular session of the 16th Congress, we must focus on selecting the best person to lead this body. The first among equals, Honorable Sonny Belmonte, is someone who possesses the leadership, character, and drive that has elected him as Speaker during the 12th and 15th Congresses. Despite the diverse political inclinations and professional background of the House members, Honorable Sonny Belmonte was successful in balancing the rudder towards the passage of vital reform legislations while maintaining a harmonious and united 15th Congress. Meeting head-on the diverse challenges that our country faces will never be easy. Such difficult tasks require a tried and tested leader, someone who can bring out the best of every member in this chamber and who shall be firmly undaunted by the complex are expected to come our way. Fellow members of the 16th Congress, it is for these reasons that I'm honored to second the nomination of our esteemed colleague, Honorable Feliciano Belmonte Jr. as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Thank you, and may God continue to guide our decisions and our service to the people.
At ito po, curiously, sa Senado, ang ninominate po ng kapatid ni Congresswoman Abby Binay na si Senator Nancy Binay ay si Juan Ponce Enrile. At dito naman po sa mababang kapulungan, ang kanyang ninominate at sabi niya nga po mas importante na wala na lang change of leadership bagkus ay pagpapatuloy. Ang kanyang pong ninominate ay si Congressman Sonny Belmonte pa rin po. Sa ngayon po ay nais rin naming pasalamatan ang aming mga kaakibat sa paghahatid sa inyo ng coverage ng ating SONA mamaya. Ito po ay ang Land Bank, SSS, Metrotech, Duty Free Philippines, GSIS, DENR, at PAGCOR. At maraming salamat din po sa Toasted Siopaw na may mga 20 branches sa Kalayaan at Fairview. At higit sa lahat, ang Glorious Blend Coffee na nagpapagising sa amin ngayong umaga.